Well, good evening, friends, and welcome to the podcast. I'm really glad you're here. We are here tonight with our good friend Midge Rosebrook, who I'm sure is a very familiar face to you. He's a good friend of mine and probably a good friend of yours as well. And if not, he soon will be after tonight. Um, and Midge, what are we here to talk about tonight?
We're here to talk about the beginnings of snowmobiling in New England.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Yes. In many ways, the
The very
epicenter of
early
that
days.
was Lancaster, New Hampshire.
Yeah.
For a lot of things, a lot of firsts in Lancaster, New Hampshire.
Yeah. The first town in the United States to get the Revolutionary Bombardier Skidoo.
Yes.
December 4th, 1959. And
that's when the first Skidoo was imported to Lancaster.
Very first Skidoo come across the border, delivered to Timberland Machines Incorporated, which is a company that was based out of Ontario. And the store's manager, Bob Bottoms, who was also from Ontario, came down. They wanted to do another branch store somewhere in New England. And Bob did a lot of research. He came through and he checked out Berlin. He checked out a couple of sites in Maine, Vermont, and he ended up choosing Lancaster as because of the central location for logging back then. And Lancaster was also the county seat, which helped as far as doing, businesses and things like that. So,
yes.
And they sold Bombardier logging equipment.
And that was the intention of snowmobiles in the beginning, wasn't it, to be a working vehicle as opposed to a recreational vehicle?
Yeah, exactly. Bottoms hired Paul Crane in 58, I believe, when he first came here as his first employee. And Paul was hired on as a salesman, 20 years old. And shortly after that, J. Armand Bombardier invited Bob Bottoms to Valcourt to test this little over-the-snow vehicle that he had designed for trapping and large logging operations. And he said he thinks it might replace the sled dog. So it was basically, he designed it as a working vehicle. So Bottoms and Crane went up there to check this out, and they gave the green light to Paul to test the thing out. So Paul jumps onto it, drives it up and down the road there at Valcourt, because back then it was a gravel road in Valcourt. That is a pretty small, tiny town,
sure.
Rural town in Canada at the time. And so Bottoms, the genius that he was just a pure. He had a business head, and he saw dollar signs. I think when he saw that little sled going, this is going to be a recreational boom.
Sure,
in the
and
future.
That it was.
Yeah, I think he saw that. So he ordered one. He says, "Yeah, we'll take one." And the damn thing sat around the shop for about a year. And because of the price, I think the price was like $900. And this was in 1959, wow. 1960.
That's a little spendy, yeah.
Well, boy, I mean, you could buy a new pickup for that back then,
Sure.
So a guy by the name of Dave Parks came in one day, and he said, "Bob," he says, "I'll make a deal with you." He says, "I'll take that contraption off your hands if you want to take my wood lot out east. I've got a wood lot out there. I don't know how many acres it was, but," he says, "I'll trade that wood lot for that machine." And Bob was trying to get rid of it, so he took him up on it. And they traded the very first Skidoo that came into the United States for a wood lot. The only way he could get rid of it.
So the first Skidoo that came to the U.S. was traded for a wood lot.
Was traded for to get rid of it. Yeah, wow. To get rid of it. And but in a couple of years, I think it was 66, 67, the snowmobile part of the business was taking off at such a rate that they had to build a whole new building So they broke ground for a new building up at the head of Main Street for Timberland's new headquarters. And they had a huge warehouse out back. And by 1969, 1970, they were shipping over 10,000 skidoos every year to a vast network of dealers here in New England, from Maine, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, and it just took off.
Yeah.
And
now that's a perfect segue into a video clip that we have. In fact, let me put the menu up. We're on item number 1. We've been talking about Timberland machines here these last few minutes, and we've got a video clip where Midge and I did a site visit a couple of years ago to the first and second location that he was just talking about of Timberland machines, where they were importing the Ski-Doo snowmobiles into the U.S. Through Lancaster. Plus, this video clip also has a site visit to the old Timberland race trailer. So let me get that queued up. We'll take a look at that, and I'm going to encourage our viewers to please make comments, questions. If you have questions about anything you're looking at or comments, please leave them in the comment section and we'll take a look at them. We've got comments coming in already. After the video here, we'll take a look. But yeah, let's take a look at this video clip real quick and have a look at some of the first sites associated with the Ski-Doo snowmobile.
This is the original site of the old Sherman Motors building that was purchased by Timberland Machines back in 1958. They sold Bombardier products from Ontario, Canada, and they needed a branch store in New England. So Bob Bottoms, the manager of the store in America, he came to New England and he looked all over. He looked in Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts. He did an extensive search, and he just happened to look at Lancaster as being the center hub of logging back in the 1960s and the late 50s, and he settled on Lancaster as the branch store. And behind me is where the old Sherman Motors building was. It was a Dodge dealership. They went out. He purchased the building, and this is where the original Bombardier Ski-Doo came to America in 1959, right here. December 4th, 1959, the first Bombardier Ski-Doo came to America.
They imported right into the building that stood on this spot.
This building is not the original building. The original building was torn down. This building was further down. They moved it up here. This building belonged to the old Thompson Manufacturing Company, and they moved it up here for a welcome center. But the original building, the Dodge dealership, that building was torn down. But it was in about this area.
You said it was at a different angle, huh?
It was a different angle. It was more like here, and I think it was more this way, because there were some sheds to my left. There was a series of sheds where they kept the school buses back then. And so this whole area here was all Sherman Motors Company area.
That building that Mike just took a photo of was the original site of the Timberland Machines building that they constructed in 1966. The reason they did that was basically because of the Bombardier Ski-Doo. Sales took off big time in 1965, 66, and when the building was finally finished in 1967, they were selling between 8,000 and 10,000 snowmobiles out of there every year. So they needed a big warehouse to house this this new phenomenon that was coming on the scene. And so later, I think it was like in 70, 71, I think they were selling 10,000 or better snowmobiles out of there every year until the peak, until everything crashed and a lot of companies went out of business. But in the early 70s, it was still kicking. And if you would consider this, Timberland Machines had a big racing program, and Bob Fortin was the captain. Bob Martin was a team member. Timmy White, Frank Dodge, and so on. They had a pretty good race team there. They even built a little race shack out back specifically to work on the sleds. And the story was that Bob Bottoms would take $100 off from each crate that they were putting out of there. He would take $100 from each sale of the sled and putting it towards the race program. So you're looking at $100,000 race program.
That adds up fast.
And $100,000 back in 1970 and 71 was a huge amount of money. So you can see why Timberland Machines did so well on the racetrack was because they had a lot of funding behind them, and Bob Fortin was getting paid a salary, plus he could make anything that he made on the racetrack he could keep. So he was taking home $1,000, $1,500, sometimes $2,000 on a weekend from his winnings, and he didn't have to pay for any of the parts because Timberland Machines racing program furnished him. He could go to the stock room and grab a cylinder and a piston and whatever whatever he needed to win races with. So it was an unbelievable program, and it put Lancaster on the map big time, because everywhere Timberland Machines raced, they had Lancaster, New Hampshire was Timberland Machines on the side of their race van, and the 45-foot box, and that was an incredible time period, really, back then.
Yeah.
To have our town be so well represented by a snowmobile race team.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Is there a picture of that truck and trailer anywhere? Do you know?
I think there is, and I think it's on the Stockwell Road right over here. So if you want to drive up there, maybe we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't tell. There's not enough scratched away to be able to tell.
Are there graphics on the other side too?
Yeah, faded. Worse. Way
Worse? Okay, this is the good side?
Yeah, this is the better side. Because that side, the sun hits it.
Oh, sure, yeah. Oh, yeah, and then you get the post and the, yeah. Is there anything on the backside, any graphics?
Yeah, there is. It's pretty faded.
Yeah.
Now, there used to be a railing on top. And I used to climb up to watch a race.
Oh, an observation?
Bob Bottoms and some of the dignitaries from Timberland used to get up on top to watch the races.
That's wild.
So this may not be that trailer, but you can get a shot of how the graphics were on the side of that race trailer, other than it being white and not yellow.
Yeah.
It's pretty much how it looked.
That is wild. The history we're looking at there from back in the day, with the race program, Timberland Machines race program, and the first and second location. Now, a couple of quick comments I need to make on this. This first location where Midge was standing there, he is literally a stone's throw from the backside of the Lancaster Motel. And I mention that because the Lancaster Motel is very, very supportive, not only of this podcast, but to everything that Midge has been doing with the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame, and just snowmobiling in general, past, present, and into the future. I'm going to pop a graphic real quick for the Lancaster Motel because they're good friends of ours. I encourage you to support them. If you're thinking about a snowmobile trip that includes a lot of snowmobile history, there's no better place than the Lancaster Motel. Their numbers on the screen here, and they also have a seasonal deal where you can rent a room by the month or by the season. Bring all your gear and your trailer and your sleds up, bring it up once, and then just travel back and forth with your vehicle. It saves all that towing. Just something to think about because they are very, very supportive of all of the vintage activities that Midge and I do, as well as modern snowmobiling and all of that. And then there's another story. I'll let Midge tell it. We pulled up to this place, the second location for Timberland Machines, and there was kind of an incident there, if you will. They wouldn't let us film. Do you want to tell that story, Midge?
Yeah. Mike and I was standing there, and I was talking it up like in the video that you just heard, and all of a sudden this car comes screaming around the corner, and the guy says, "What are you guys doing here?" And well, we're just talking up this building, which used to be Timberland Machines. Oh, you're not supposed to be here. You're not supposed to be on this property, and no photos. Okay, so Mike and I left, and it's almost like a big black SUV. It wasn't an SUV, but it was it might as well have been a man in black pulling up there.
Exactly.
Oh boy, he just chased us out.
Yes, and the compromise we reached with him is, he wouldn't let us videotape there, but I said, well, if we take a couple of still photos, and I got the still photos from two different angles, and then we went to another location, and we just sat in the car, and that's where Midge and I were talking about this, the commentary that you heard. So that was
Yes.
kind of the compromise that we reached is we wouldn't stand there and do video. We took a couple quick images, went to another location and talked about it in the car. And then we've got,
and I told Mike, they've got a sign out front, looking for help, help wanted. Well, the guy comes screaming around the corner there. The first thing he wanted to do was chase us off. He didn't say, "You guys looking for work?" No, he wants you can't be on the property. So, no wonder they're looking for help. They chase everybody off that goes there. So
no
anyway,
doubt.
it was comical.
It was a funny moment. Thankfully, he was nice about it, but he wasted no time coming out there, careening around the corner because he was.
Oh heck,
we
weren't
behind the building.
We weren't there a minute.
Yeah, he came around this corner on the right there, and we were kind of on the other side. And he came careening around the corner, and like I said, thankfully he was very nice about it. But we couldn't film there.
No,
but it was funny. Now we've got comments of plenty coming in.
Something top secret's going on in there, that. So
yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Now we've got tons of comments coming in, and I don't want to neglect them any longer. Let's take a look at these comments real quick, and then we've got tons more to show you here throughout the evening. Just a whole lot of history and memories of snowmobiling from back in the day. We've got our good friend Dave from Alaska Railroad saying good evening to Mike and Midge.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening back. Also, our friend Ben Thomas says good evening from Carterville, New York. North Shore Vintage Sleds are in the house. Pound sign NVS. They've got a great program there at North Shore Vintage Sleds. They do a lot of vintage shows. And if you get on the Vintage Snowmobile Lovers Facebook page, scroll down a little bit, there's a graphic on there for an upcoming show they're having on the 27th. Also, someone on Facebook saying, what a wonderful podcast. We appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
Our good friend John Springer Jr. is saying good evening to Mike and Midge. Thank you so much.
Good evening.
Another friend here on Facebook is saying, you two are both wonderful men. Well, thank you. That's wonderful of you to notice.
Oh, thank you.
We appreciate that. Stacy and Art Fosler, regular viewers from the very beginning. In fact, Art Fosler was our guest on the Snowmobile podcast just the other night, saying hello. Appreciate that. Lancaster local Bill Nast is saying hello.
Hey, Bill. He's out in Eagle River, I think.
I think so. Yeah, either that or just back. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Robert Jordan is saying Epping here. Is he involved with the Epping event they have every fall? Maybe that's what he's saying. In Epping, New Hampshire.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, here's a question. David from Alaska Railroad says, just curious, did the first Ski-Doo have a name, or was it? Or he says, I think it was called the Ski Dog, and I think it was. Do you know anything about that, Midge?
Yeah, it was J. Armand Bombardier called it the Ski Dog, and but the G on the end of the logo on the cab looked like an O. So when people looked at the name, it looked like Skidoo, because the G was kind of real close together.
Sure.
And you didn't see the little tail on the G. And so people kept mistaking it for an O. And so they started calling it Skidoo, and Bombardier just went with it. And from then on, it was the Skidoo.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
But you see there again, he wasn't looking at this for recreation. He was calling this the Ski Dog.
Yes. Implying
this was just simply to replace the sled dog for traffic. Yeah. So, but it certainly has been more than a workhorse. It's been everybody. I mean, Mike, you can remember when people had 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah, they were everywhere.
Everywhere.
Across the snow belt. It was wonderful. It was like an infestation. They were just everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
It was wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's so much joy and fun around it too. People were really enjoying themselves. It made winter an awful lot of fun.
And
winter was so much fun. Yep.
Yeah.
Now we've got more comments coming in. We've got L and NC saying, hi guys, this is great. When I was a young lad, I read in Snowgoer magazine the first chapter of Bill Vince's book, Warriors of Winter. I scraped for the money to pre-order it. Now I still have my hardcover. Nice.
Great.
That's a great book. Isn't
Yeah,
that the
that
sale
is.
of Crane Snowmobile Museum, that book?
That's the snowmobile racing Bible right there.
Yes.
Yeah, that's as far as I'm concerned. That's the best book to have.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then someone on Facebook is saying, I'm interested in any sleds with a Timberland T on them. Absolutely. That was a great
Yeah.
logo they had, that
Yeah.
reverse triangle
Yeah.
with the T on it.
I sent you that photo of that poster with the Timberland hat.
Yes, let me switch
the
screens
shelf.
so we can look at that.
Yeah.
Here we go, right there. Yeah, at the
Yeah.
very bottom there on the front of that hat is the Timberland logo.
Yeah. Henry Dion gave me and Shane Beatty a hat when we were doing the 50th Grand Prix reunion. And he said they're very scarce, Midge. He said there's not many of these hats left. So I've been pretty choice of it. And I just put it on the shelf up there right underneath that poster. That poster was done up for Timberland Machines by some artist. And yeah, so well, I think the Motel has those for sale.
They do.
And
Last I knew, yeah.
Yeah, the proceeds go to the Hall of Fame. So
yes.
Yeah. I'm not sure what they're getting for them, but
I'm not sure either, but it's reasonable. It's not crazy money.
Not crazy money, but it's a nice poster.
It is.
And
yeah.
we were at one time the snowmobile capital of the world. Now Eagle River has probably taken that away from us, and rightly so. I mean, Eagle River is the granddaddy, but before Eagle
Lancaster
River,
got there first.
we were first. We were racing in 62, 63, 64. We even beat Eagle River by 1 week in 1964 when they first started. Yeah, they raced a week after the 64 Grand Prix.
Sure.
So, yeah, their first race.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, we've still got comments coming in. We've got our good friend Reese Fleury saying, good evening, gentlemen. Appreciate that. Someone else saying good evening. Here we go. Someone was saying, I was in Lancaster last July. Oh, this is John Spranger Jr. He went by Crane Snowmobile Museum. He said, luckily, Paul Crane came up and talked to him, and they had a great visit. Paul said that Midge was out of town, but maybe next time he'll have a chance to meet you, Midge. John Spranger,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I think you and John have been introduced on Facebook, too.
I recognize all these names that have been popping up. These guys are very loyal to this podcast, and we appreciate that.
We very much do, yes.
Yeah.
And someone else saying good evening to Mike and Midge. We appreciate that. Kevin Culhane saying good evening to Mike and Midge. I thought it was at 9. Glad I checked. Yes, the Sunday podcasts are at 8. The Thursdays are at 9.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry for the confusion on that, but that's how we do it. We've got something every Sunday night here in this time slot, 8 p.m. In case you're just coming here for the first time, every Sunday night we've got videos here, vintage snowmobile related videos. Tom Bewick says, good evening, guys. Loving all the history, and we appreciate that. It was a print error in the brochure also. He says, do instead of dog, and they stuck with it.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
And then John Spranger Jr.'s brother, James Spranger, is on here, and he's saying, good evening, you guys. We appreciate that. Well, cool.
Wow.
So what we've been looking at here is just one of the many things going on in Lancaster as far as history. Now, we've been talking about Paul Crane, who was the first American to ride a Ski-Doo in the U.S. or Canada, and he is the owner of Crane's Snowmobile Museum. Every year, the first Saturday in February, he puts on a vintage snowmobile show. This year is going to be his 10th annual, and he wants to kind of take it to another level because of the anniversary. He's got extra trophies, extra categories, I'm sure a whole lot of other fun surprises at this show. It's a show you don't want to miss if you're in the area, and if you're planning to drive any distance. The place to stay, of course, is the Lancaster Motel. Let's pop that graphic. And I'm purposely promoting the Lancaster Motel an awful lot because they do a lot to support this podcast, as well as the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame, the museum, and everything related to history in Lancaster, which we'll be getting more into later. But the Lancaster Motel was also where they would hold the award ceremony for the Grand Prix back in the 60s and 70s. So the Lancaster Motel is very much tied into all of this. So we want to make sure and send them some love as part of doing these videos. But let me get the menu back up. We're on item number 2. We've got some footage. I was just talking about Paul Crane and his Crane Snowmobile show there at the Crane Snowmobile Museum. I've got some footage from the 2019 show. So let's take a look at that, and we'll catch you on the other side for comments. And please leave comments, questions as you're viewing this. Let's take a look.
Purchase of mine. It's sort of a special race model from Kawasaki. It's got the 4/6 is special porting that wasn't done on other
Is that one with the
motors.
twin spark plugs on each cylinder?
Twin spark plugs in each cylinder. Sure.
Yeah. Nice. On the big
The radiator.
liquid cooled, yeah.
So you got the twin spark plugs here, and the porting, which I have on that banner out front,
Yeah.
was very unusual. They're a very fast machine, and they like to run. They're not a machine, as I found out last week in a vintage ride. They're not the machine to be run slow
Oh, really?
on a trail. Yeah, they run very hot.
Sure.
But yeah, like most of the Kawasaki's, it's got the pop-up headlight, and it goes pretty good. This one here, as you said a little earlier, had the independent front suspension, and it was kind of unusual for its day. They had a whole line of Lizard sleds back in the early 80s, and the other ones were liquid cooled. This one here is a fan cooled 497, and it had that suspension, and it didn't sell well because it was heavy, and back then, even like today, they liked the light machines, and something with the liquid cools would obviously make them go faster. But this lasted for about 5 years, and then they discontinued it.
And this is what, 80, 81? What year
That's
is it?
an 82.
82, yeah.
And I rode both of these back to back, and it was just an incredible difference in the ride quality of this one
Yeah,
versus
the independent
this one.
suspension.
But you could feel the big difference in the weight.
You could feel the weight, huh?
Yeah, this thing you could flick around. That thing, God, if you ever took that off trail, you'd sink like an anchor. Almost like the modern day Arctic, the modern day Yamahas.
Yes.
As people like to joke.
Known for being real heavy, yeah.
Yeah, but if you're looking for a nice, comfortable ride in rough terrain, then this is the sled that you chose, because back then the grooming wasn't like it is now.
Yeah.
So, you leave in the morning now when it's flat, and you come back and it's a little bumpy. Back then it was bumpy the whole time.
Yeah.
But if you're in tight, twisty trails, that's more of a nimble sled that you would want versus something like that.
Sure. What was your name?
My name's Mark.
Mark, great. Where are you based out of?
Andover, Massachusetts.
There we go. Yeah, Crane Snowmobile Show at Crane Snowmobile Museum, and Midge, do you want it, that brown building behind us? Not only do you have all these sleds that exhibitors bring, you want to talk up what's going on inside that building?
Yeah, Paul has recently purchased 3 new vintage sleds for the museum. one of which I think he said there was only 2 or 3 of them left in existence. It's the first year that the Squirrel came out in 1966. And he's got a fully restored 1966 Squirrel. The thing is beautiful. It's just gorgeous. And he has a 1968 TX500 Polaris with a 372 JLO engine in it. And it was the first attempt that Polaris made to produce in the crate race sleds for people. Nice. This is one of the very first consumer race sleds, if you will, and they called it the TX500. And it had one of them I think had an 800 or 744 twin, but this one has the 372. And he just recently went to Canada and purchased a 1962 Skidoo. Now, I'm not sure if it's restored. I think it might be restored, but I'm not sure about that. But I know he had to go up above Valcourt, and he picked it up here recently. So now I haven't seen that yet, but
sure,
that's probably those 3 sleds are something that he just barely picked up recently.
Nice, and that's not to forget his probably 100 sleds at least inside that building.
Oh yeah, he's probably got 100, maybe 130, 140 sleds in there right now.
Yeah. And that makes the crane show really special because not only do you have all of these sleds that have been brought there that day by exhibitors, but there's another 100 sleds inside. So I mean, it's right. Double your pleasure, double your fun, if you will. Yeah. You get the sleds outside and the sleds inside, and of course they've got burgers and chili and things cooking inside.
So you have a place to get in and get warm.
Yes.
Where a lot of places, a lot of vintage shows during the winter like that, you don't really have a lot of places to maybe go in and get warm.
Yes, you're outside the whole time.
So cranes, the museum, you not only go in and get warm, now you're looking at 140 sleds in there. So
yeah, so that makes it an extra special show as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
Having it at the museum because you've got all, like I said, you've got all of these sleds outside plus another 100 plus inside. Yeah,
like you're right on corridor 5. So if you wanted to go for a little snowmobile ride, you could.
Yeah, just like this guy coming through here. He's going on the trail.
Yeah.
So if you can snowmobile to it, you can come by car. Yeah, and I want to plug the Lancaster Motel one more time because that's just a 1 block away, walking distance from the Lancaster Motel.
Yeah.
So if you want to come for the weekend to book some trail riding, plan some trail riding, and attend the show. You can do it all from the Lancaster Motel. It's just a short walk, and there's plenty of parking for trailers and everything, and for your sleds. You can ride right from your door on Corridor Trail 5.
And the Lancaster Motel was the original headquarters of the Lancaster Grand Prix.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they had
where they passed out the trophies. That's where, I mean, you hear names like Bob Eastman, Gilles Villeneuve, Yvon Duhamel. Those guys stayed at the Lancaster Motel. I mean, there's so much history that's going in and around that. It's just a famous building for snowmobile racing back then was the Lancaster Motel.
For sure. In fact, this is right where the media bar is now, where Gilles Villeneuve is getting an award.
Yeah, that's Gilles right there. And Alvin Whitey Leonard, who was the chief of police in Lancaster, and he was also the Grand Prix chairman that year.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the nice thing is, as a snowmobile enthusiast like you and I are, we can go stand in that very spot that Gilles Villeneuve stood.
Yeah. 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 I wish I knew which room he stayed at. It'd be kind of cool to, if you wanted to rent a room, say, I want to stay at the Gilles Villeneuve room today.
Exactly. And I know we've looked into that, and the original owners don't have record of it, and the current owners don't, and that's really unfortunate because that would be a blast, to be able to stay in the room where Gilles Villeneuve stayed or Bob Eastman.
Oh, Bob Eastman, yeah.
That would just be something else. I don't know how. In fact, let's put this to our viewers. How would you feel if they just picked a room? Yeah. And knowing this, I mean, disclosing this, but saying they pick a room that this is the Gilles Villeneuve room, this other room is the Bob Eastman room, and just have maybe some images in there or something to kind of commemorate that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And then disclosing, that we don't know for sure that this is the room they stayed in.
Yeah,
but they did stay at this motel.
that's
So
right.
as viewers, how do you guys feel about that? Does that make it special in some ways? Or is that kind of is that crossing the line? But I would think it would be cool, if there's some images in there and maybe maybe a little plaque with some information about Bob Eastman and about Gilles Villeneuve and some of the other big name racers that stayed at that motel, and just kind of have a little room dedicated to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Larry Colton raced here. Davey Thompson, if you're an Attic Cat fan. Big names. Jim Adama raced here. The Trapp brothers raced here.
Yeah, so many big names.
Big names.
Yes.
There were 10 or 12 45-foot tractor trailers lined up on the backstretch at one time at the Grand Prix. All factory tractor trailers.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It was the place back in the day for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, and we have comments coming in here. Let's see if we've got answers to our question about the idea of the rooms. Jim Gauchione says, "Good evening. Always great to see you, gentlemen. Thank you so much." And then Ben Thomas says, "Yes, dedicate rooms." And, and as far as I'm concerned, as long as we disclose that, it's not being dishonest, but they did stay at that motel.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Someone else is saying dedication to racer would be great. David from Alaska Railroad says it would have been awesome if each room could have been called by the racer's name that stayed in it. That would be amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And then Ben Thomas is saying it's another way to introduce guests to the rich history. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Reese Fleury says it's a great idea. Someone else on Facebook says great idea. Then someone else is saying just staying in the hotel with all of that history would be awesome. John Spranger Jr. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why we name drop the motel, constantly with the podcast and everything we're doing, because they do a lot to support us. In fact, they have a after party. They host an after party after the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame induction ceremony. They do that for us every year. And it's just a wonderful way to kind of complete the circle, if you will, of all of this snowmobile history and everything that everyone's doing to keep it alive. The Lancaster Motel is a huge part of that. And
one year there, I asked Ruby if she could do up special drinks for some of the inductees out for the after party. I said, could you have them do like a 440 or the Kilkenny Cup or the Adirondack Cup or special drinks? And so she did.
I remember that. I think there was one called the Stinger too, wasn't there?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I'd like to see Purple Power Lube. Being a cat guy, I couldn't resist, right?
Yeah.
In fact, let's put it out there to our viewers. What would be some good drink names? Because this comes around every year. We could run this by the motel and see if the bar, would be open to naming some drinks. What to the viewers? What are some interesting drink names that are associated with vintage snowmobiles that might be fun to name some drinks after?
Yeah.
And Stacy and Art Fosler were saying they like the idea of naming a room. Well, cool. So we've got so much more to look at. Let me remove this and get back to the menu here, see what our next thing is. We're going to visit. This is a site visit that Midge and I did a couple of years ago. We went to the actual site of where they used to have the Lancaster Grand Prix snowmobile races back in the 60s and 70s. So we went to the site of that, and we just kind of talked it up, walked around, and looked at what it's like now. But it's kind of cool to talk up what was going on back in the day. Let's take a look.
As you can see, this sign up here, Lancaster Fairgrounds, home of the Kilkenny Cup. This is the site, this field, where we had our 50th reunion of the Lancaster Grand Prix. The Grand Prix ended in 1977, and for years later, nobody even thought about it. One day, it was in 2009, when I was working for North Country Ford. My friend Bob Martin, who used to snowmobile, he raced the Timberland machines back in the day. He was one of the top riders, and he's in the Hall of Fame now. Bob came in with a program of the Northeast Speedway over in Waterford, Vermont. He used to be a stock car driver, and he used to race over there. So when they had their 50th reunion at the old Northeast Speedway, he went to it and he brought in a program. And as I was thumbing through it and looking at the old car photos and things like that, all of a sudden I blurted out to Bob, "Geez, Bob, you guys ought to have a 50th reunion of the Lancaster Grand Prix." The minute that came out of my mouth, I couldn't forget that. It consumed every minute that I wasn't working at North Country Ford. I was thinking about having another Grand Prix. First few people I got a hold of, Shane Beatty, his dad Mike, who used to be a Grand Prix chairman back then. I talked to Mike before he passed away. Talked to Bob Clark, who was a chairman back then in the day. Of course, Bob Martin. And we decided that, yeah, we should do a 50th reunion of the Grand Prix. Now, in 1964, Lancaster had a bicentennial, and for the Winter Carnival, we had the Grand Prix Snowmobile race as part of the Winter Carnival. So we celebrated Lancaster's bicentennial by having that snowmobile race. It turned out to be, they kept it up, and it turned out to be probably the largest snowmobile event in New England at that time. And so for our 50th, guess what? That would be Lancaster's 250th birthday.
Wow.
So we're not only celebrating the 50th reunion of the Grand Prix, we're also, again, celebrating Lancaster's birthday, their 250th. So Shane Beatty was voted in as chairman at the Snowdrift. The Snowdrifters, by the way, were the ones that put on the original Grand Prix. So the Snowdrifters are the ones that put on the 50th reunion. We voted Shane Beatty as chairman. The whole town came out to help out with this race. And we had to do it right. We had to do this thing right. The Grand Prix was an important race back then, and to do a 50th reunion, we can't do anything less than the best that we can do. So we haven't raced since 1977, so we're green at this. So Kenny Bowens, who was on the committee, he happened to be online one day, and he came across ice racing over in Boonville, New York. A guy by the name of Ed Stabb was the head of that Northeast New York speed. I can't think of the Northern New York Vintage Snowmobile race or something like that. That's what they call it. Anyway, he asked Ed if he couldn't maybe join us in the meeting at Shane's house via voice thing with the phone. And so he told us about this guy by the name of Ed Stabb, and he's going to give us pointers on how to do this race. So he sets the phone in the middle of the table, and we're talking to Ed Stabb, and just before at the end of the conversation, Kenny pipes up and he says, "Ed," he said, "would you come and help us put this race on, and how much would it cost?" Ed Stabb said, "Absolutely." He said it would cost $2,800. Now, bear in mind that $2,800 was for the insurance. In other words, Ed Stabb and his whole staff traveled 6.5 hours to come here to help us put a race on for free.
Wow.
We gave him 3 rooms at the motel, and they came and did that for free for us.
That's amazing.
So, and it was a huge event. It turned out to be an absolute huge event. There was probably 4,000 people that showed up. They were clocking the 800 Chaparral, the 72 IFS Chaparral, to clock on the backstretch at 96 miles an hour.
Wow.
On this little 3rd mile oval here. These boys were bringing it.
Yeah.
And there was probably 100 high-end ice racers from New York that came here to put the show on. We did it again in 2015. 2016, unfortunately, rained out. We had the best track that we ever had in 2016, but it rained for 2 days and it killed it, so we had to cancel it. And in 2017, our last event, Sabrina Blanchette came, and she did very, very well. I think she took home like 2 or 3 Kilkenny Cups from that event. So that was a good event. Unfortunately, volunteerism isn't what it used to be. And it takes a lot of work to lay down ice in this field out here. They have to haul water from a mile away from the Connecticut River and deliver it up here and spread it around the track. And unfortunately, we just could not get the help. that we needed to put the event on. That was it. But we did it. We're glad we did it. We did it right. And that's all I can say.
Nice.
Will it happen again? We
Hard to
don't
say,
know.
sure.
Yeah, but we did it once.
Cool.
All right, this
Thank
is
you.
the field here, folks, where we held our Grand Prix, where we held our 50th reunion, the 2015 race, the 2017 race. This is it right here. And when Shane said that the Fair Association was going to allow us to use the field across the road from the fairgrounds, of course the original Grand Prix was held over there on the old half-mile horse track in front of the grandstand. But that is all cut up nowadays. There's too much going on over there. The track is gone. It's being used up, so there's no way we could hold it over there. It was unsafe in the day that they had it over there anyway, and the reason they had to move it further north was because of the safety. However, this field wasn't, this was woods back then, and they went and took a bulldozer and they opened this all up and for more parking for the fairgrounds. So, when Shane Beatty said that the fairgrounds would let him use this field for the Grand Prix race, I'm thinking, oh, I don't think that field is big enough. But then I came up on a Sunday in 2015 to man the booth in the commercial hall advertising for the 50th reunion of the Grand Prix. I came up, I had my little Jeep, and they sent me down here. And the place was packed, so they sent me all the way back down to the end of the field. And honestly, I thought I was going to have to pack a lunch to get back to the road. It was so big. It doesn't look that big from the road, but let me tell you folks, it's a huge field. It goes all the way down to the tree line. There was plenty of room for a nice third-mile track out here. And the straightaway was long enough, so they were kicking up about 96 miles an hour.
Wow.
So, yeah, they were sending it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so that is the site of the original Grand Prix race series back in the 60s and 70s, as well as the reunion, the 50th anniversary.
Yeah. Yeah, that the Kilkenny Cup was introduced in '66 at the fairgrounds, and Bill Buckland, a local gentleman who worked for Timberland Machines at the time, his name was the first name to go on that cup.
Wow.
And Bucky's going to be inducted this coming for the Hall of Fame ceremony this fall. So I'm pretty excited to see Bucky put into the Hall of Fame, because he was one of the better ones. So yeah, a lot of history there.
Yes, and then another name that you mentioned who was inducted into the Hall of Fame a few years ago is your friend and mine, Ed Stabb.
Ed Stabb, absolutely. Yeah. Ed, when he was 12 years old, he went to the local skidoo dealer out in Boonville, New York, and begged him to let him work on the skidoos. In I think it was 1968, he was 12 or 13 years old. And after school, he went in, he's begging the skidoo dealer to let him work on the sleds. And he said, you know what? He said he let me.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
and so it begins.
He what he did, I don't know if he's just probably handing wrenches to the mechanic that was working on him or something, but yeah, he went out and and that's the beginnings of Ed Stabb and the snowmobile, and it's been nonstop ever since. And I think Ed is like 64, 5 now, maybe 66, and he's still going strong.
And he's one of the top promoters of the East when it comes to snowmobile.
I would say that Ed Stabb is the top promoter.
Yes.
I don't think anybody comes close.
I would agree.
Yeah.
In fact, the national event in 2002, I think it was, he organized that out in Old Forge, New York, and that was a very well-run show.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And he helped put on our 2016 national show here in Lancaster.
Yes.
At the fairgrounds. Yeah.
No.
Anytime Ed Stabb has anything to do with snowmobile vintage shows or snowmobile racing, they tend to run a lot more smoother.
Yes. The attention to detail is very impressive.
He just He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and he's been
That's
doing
all
it for a
he's ever
long
done.
time, and he's really good. He's got it down.
Oh, yeah.
And the
Yeah.
other question I wanted to ask you about this Grand Prix, before it was the Grand Prix, what was the name of it? And also, what was that considered some of the earliest racing in New England?
Yeah, I think Lancaster held the very first snowmobile race this side of Lake Ontario.
Wow.
Of course, out in the Midwest, when Polaris, the rear engine snowmobiles, Polaris and Arctic Cat, I think they held some small races out there in the Midwest before that.
Mm-hmm.
I would almost guarantee they probably did.
Sure.
But as far as the East, I think I'm quite sure Lancaster was the first town to put on a snowmobile race, and they did so in 1962, and then again in 63, and we called it the motorized toboggan races.
Sure.
And then in 1964, the race was going to be a side event for Lancaster's 200th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
So they decided to up the name game a little bit and give it a fancier name. So they came up with the Grand Prix.
Nice.
So
nice.
that stuck. Yeah.
Good. Now we've got comments coming in. Did you have more to add to that thought, or?
No, I think that's about all I have.
All right.
Yeah.
So we've got comments coming in. Let's take some comments. We've got some good drink names here. Someone on Facebook is saying the Blizzard. Excellent name.
Absolutely.
Oh, and I got to love this one. Amsoil Ale. Goes down nice and easy.
I hope Rob is watching.
Yes, I hope he's watching, definitely. And then here we go. The Wizard Blizzard drink. John Spranger Jr. That's a good one. Absolutely. And then you just noticed the Ski-Doo on the sign. He loves it. Reese, Kevin Culhane is saying. And Reese Fleury will know. Ed Stab is a great guy. Reese Fleury is out in upstate New York. I believe he knows him. And also we've got Pong by Atari Tim A saying good evening to all. Also another testimonial for Ed. Ben Thomas says Ed Stab is a great guy, a pillar in the vintage snowmobile community. I second that.
A pillar is a good analogy for him.
That's a great way to put it. Absolutely. Yeah, a true treasure.
Yeah,
and good friend to you, me, and a lot of us. Yes. I couldn't ask for a better friend either.
No. Yeah.
So I'm going to.
And we'll see Ed at the show.
Oh, he's at Cranes?
Yeah. So if anybody wants to meet Ed Stab in person, Ed said that he was going to be at Paul's show.
It would be worth a trip just for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm looking forward to seeing him. He was there last year.
Yeah.
And it'd be wonderful to see him again this year. He's a wonderful guy. I can't wait to see him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He lives and breathes the sport.
He does. Yeah. There's no one with a greater passion for it.
Nobody. Not me, not you, nobody.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's in his veins.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next up, we're going to look at an induction from the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. And interestingly enough, sitting with us tonight is none other than the founder of the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. We're going to be looking at an induction of Judy Rinaldi. Before we do, though, Midge, do you want to talk up the Hall of Fame a little bit and a few comments about Judy?
Yeah. Of course, the Hall of Fame, we started in 2016, Paul and I, and our first induction was in 2017. And I think we have about 32 people on the wall now.
Yeah.
Maybe more. 32 seems to be coming to my mind. And Judy, I think we inducted Judy in 2020, was it?
2020, yep.
I think so. Yeah, and she was the first lady to be honored in the Snowmobile Hall of Fame, the Eastern Snowmobile Hall of Fame. And rightly so. I think people can agree that she was probably the top female snowmobile racer in the country.
Absolutely. Didn't she have something like 10 world championships or something?
She won 10 world championships. 10, yeah. Can you believe it?
Unbelievable.
I think the closest man is I think he won 6, maybe.
Wow.
Maybe I think it was Herb Yancey won 6.
Sure.
So yeah.
And just
she
one
could
of the
drive
nicest
anything.
people you'll ever meet. Yes.
Yeah, she drove Rupp. She drove Snowjet. She drove Mercury.
Yes. In fact, I think her father was once a Rupp dealer. I think
He
she
was a
has a
Rupp dealer.
lot of passion for that brand. And that day she was wearing red, I think, to kind of honor
The whole
the
family,
Rupp brand.
Rupp Red.
Yes. Yes. Well, cool. Without any further ado, now that we've built this up, let's take a look. Let's meet Judy Rinaldi and watch her get inducted into the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame.
The next inductee is Miss Judy Rinaldi. Inducted into the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame 2020. This is very short and sweet, folks, as far as the record goes. We wouldn't have we wouldn't have page enough to put down all of her wins and everything that she's done in her career. Claude Hebert had sent me this. It's a sort of a short and sweet written article about her career at one of those whiteout events over in New York. And when I saw that, I said, that'll be enough. That'll do it. And it's an amazing career. So I'm going to start. Judy began her racing career in 1973, and by 1980, she was considered by most to be the best woman racer in North America. She was only 17 when she set the woman's land speed record for snowmobiles at 72.4 miles an hour and nearly set the men's record of 94 miles an hour, but blew a piston 20 feet short of the finish line. Racing Rupp sleds from her father's dealership, Judy won 10 snowmobile World Series championships. She was the youngest woman to win this title, and after her 9th championship, became the first man or woman to win 9 titles. From Warner's, New York, she also drove Mercury, Snowjet, Arctic Cat, and Skidoo sleds. On the very same day in 1980 that a USA Olympic hockey team beat the Soviet Union to advance to the gold medal round, Judy Rinaldi won the World Series of Snowmobile Racing in Waltham, Saskatchewan, Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Judy Rinaldi is in the building.
Thank you. I'm very honored. I'm going to be like Paul, crying here. But anyways, thank you, Jamie, my family for coming down. Jody, Frank, James, Julia, Ian, Tracy, and Beth. I really appreciate you guys coming down here all this way. It was a long trip, and I'm so glad I came. And my son-in-law, Jay, stayed home to hold the fort down. And I have a business that I run, and I'm really glad that he stayed home. But I don't know what else to say besides I really miss my dad, he's the one that got me started, and he's in heaven looking down on me. And I just appreciate, yeah, I know he is. I appreciate everybody, and I'm not really one for too much words besides thanks an awful lot.
Hey, Judy.
Hello, goodbye.
Hold it up, Paul.
Yes, the great Judy Rinaldi inducted into the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame right there at Crane's Snowmobile Museum in Lancaster, New Hampshire. Yeah, it doesn't get better than that, does it?
Well, I'm tearing up now over it. You know, stuff like that gets to me.
Yes, me too. That was one of the greater inductions as far as I'm
Oh
concerned.
yeah.
Yeah, and she's just a
Glad to
wonderful
do it.
person. And also, it has to be said, I'm going to scroll through here a little bit. Behind all of this is just a who's who of Eastern snowmobile racing. There's Ed Stab back there. Let me see. Yeah, right there on the left.
Yeah.
That's Ed Stab and his wife Heidi. And then let me see. There's Ron Hall back there. Let me see. And Paul.
I saw J.R. Tozier.
Yes, yeah. Cal Reynolds.
Cal.
Let me see if I can get okay, here we go. So there's J.R. Tozier in the back wiping his eye. Is that Bruce Dunham, the yellow hat?
Bruce Dunham is there.
And then Cal Reynolds in the yellow jacket.
Bob Martin.
Oh, okay, yeah. And Ron Hall.
Yeah. Ron Hall.
On the right is Paul Lamontagne.
Yeah, there's Paul.
Yeah. It's like a who's who of Eastern racing.
Absolutely.
And I have to say, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again, and I say it multiple times because it's really important. This event has had a surprising byproduct. I mean, it's wonderful we do this induction ceremony and recognize all of these racers and everything, but it's become a reunion kind of a situation for this Eastern snowmobile racing community. It's the only place, I think, for a lot of us to gather on a yearly basis, and a lot of inductees, past, present, and future, show up just for the social experience, because it's a social event to see all these people that they've raced with years past. And just personally, I find it's wonderful. I've become friends with many of these legendary racers, and that's just such an enriching thing in my life. It's just wonderful.
Absolutely, Mike. And these people are so down to earth and so humble.
Yes.
But, you know, they raced each other for 10, 12, 15 years back then. They saw each other, you know, all weekend long. They might have even stayed with each other in the motels. When the motels were booked, they had to double up, triple up sometimes, you know, to have a place to sleep.
Yeah.
So, and they have a few drinks at the bar afterwards. And then when the snowmobile racing scene was over with, they went back to their day jobs, and for the next 40, 50 years, they lost touch. And it's like you say, it's a family reunion with these people now. They're making connections again with each other.
Yes, and there's just so much joy, so many smiles, and so much joy at these events. And if any of this sounds interesting to you, please join us. What is it, September 10th, the next one?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I've got a calendar
here.
Have
to look, but I think that sounds right. Yeah,
I've got a calendar. I'll have it in just a second. September 7th.
September 7th.
Saturday,
Okay. Yeah.
First Saturday in September.
Okay.
And I hope you will decide to join us. It's right there in Lancaster at Crane Snowmobile Museum. And the Lancaster Motel is just a short walk away. It's just a wonderful experience. Not only do you get to experience this ceremony and get to meet all of these legendary racers, but you're there at Crane Snowmobile Museum. You can go inside and check out all the sleds. Just checks so many boxes as far as snowmobile history. And just as a social experience, it's wonderful to meet all of these people. And like you said, it's very laid back. Everyone's very approachable. You can approach them for a photo or an autograph and visit with them, ask them questions about racing back in the day. And you can also be bystander, bystander to some absolutely amazing racing stories that are going around.
That's right. Yeah, you know, and these folks aren't going to last forever. I mean, they're in their 80s now, mid 70s, mid 80s.
The clock is ticking for all of us.
We lost Bruce Dunham this last year. We lost Bob Clark.
Yeah.
So if you ever want to meet any of these legendary heroes, I would suggest you try to make a point to come, because, like I say, time's not on their side. It's not on my side.
Yeah, for all of us, the clock is seriously ticking. Yeah. I hope you can decide to join us this year, September 7th, Saturday, September 7th. Book your room at the Motel, the Lancaster Motel right now. because we booked that place solid most years, and I'm going to put the graphic on the screen again for the Lancaster Motel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And be sure and tell them, if you call them, be sure and tell them that you heard about it on the podcast, because they do a lot to support this podcast, and they would love to hear that that's where you heard about it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to remove this. We've got plenty more to come, folks. We are just getting warmed up. We're on item number 4. No, I'm sorry, item number 5. After the ceremony, we had an after party at the Lancaster Motel. And at the after party every year, I try to catch up with all of the inductees for an interview. And thankfully, I was able to catch up with Judy for an interview. Let me cue that up here, and we'll take a look right here.
My name is Judy Rinaldi, and I was very honored to be inducted into the Hall of Fame today. My whole family actually came down today. My daughter and my grandson and my granddaughter and a bunch of friends and 2 of my cousins. So I definitely had a great time. I don't really know what else to say besides being very honored. Saw a whole bunch of my old friends. Diane Baker, who was a really good friend of mine, was here today. And that's about all I really have to say. I don't really say a lot.
That's all right. Do you have any thoughts about maybe some of the favorite sleds that you rode, or favorite racing locations, or favorite specific races, or any stories about races that stand out? There's one particular race where something happened that stands out, or...
I think when we were in Saskatchewan up in Canada, I remember going into the feature and then pulled the sled out to run the final race, and they forgot to put the carbides on the sled.
Uh-oh.
I was in panic mode.
Yeah.
Because they actually waited for me to put the carbides on to race the...
Oh, they waited for you.
They
Wow.
waited for me, yeah. So that was one of the things I remember that was very tense.
Yeah, no doubt.
Other than that, my dad was my biggest hero in the whole world.
Yeah.
I lost him back in 1978 of a heart attack.
Oh, no.
But I have a watch that my cousin made. It's absolutely, absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, and it's a photo of your dad.
Oh boy, it's
Of you and your dad. Oh, let me get the good angle. There we go. That's better. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, you'll keep that forever.
He was my hero.
Yeah. Now, was he into racing as well? Is that how you got into it? Is through him, or?
He used to sell abrupt snowmobiles.
Yeah.
And so we started, he had a couple on the show. We had a little barn shop down where we live, and he threw a snowmobile in the back of his pickup truck, and we just went down to Honeyoke, Pennsylvania, and I raced the race down there and won it. That's how we got started. So, and then after that, I just fell in love with the sport. My father actually fell in love with the sport, and I kind of fell in love with it because he was in love with it.
Nice.
So,
nice.
Yeah, he was a great, great man. Everybody loved him.
Sure. So, any thoughts about ROP? Is that why you're wearing red today? Is that kind of to honor the brand? Or?
Yes. My father loved ROP. And Paul Lamonte, he's a great man. Today he was inducted too.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, he was a ROP rider for a while, wasn't he?
Yep, and I didn't really know him.
Yeah.
But today,
had a chance to get to know him and visit with him a little.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And Elaine, his wife, so it was great.
Well, good.
So.
Good. Well, thank you. Any final thoughts or anything else you can think of to add? Or
I had a wonderful time. The people are wonderful, and snowmobile and racing was definitely a big part of my life. My dad, like I say, I truly miss him, but my whole family came down today, so it really made up for it.
Yeah, that's huge.
It was big.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you for the invite.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. So the great Judy Rinaldi inducted into the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. It doesn't get better than that. And it just happened to stop here. This is two legends, two Eastern Snowmobile Racing legends on the screen right now. Anything to add to any of that, Midge? Or?
Yeah, do you ever notice how the great ones are always humble?
They sure are.
Just a wonderful, wonderful lady.
Yes.
And Paul, Paul I've known for a while now. And I don't know if I ever told this story on the podcast, but back in, I think it was 1969 or 1970, Paul actually came into the office at my Uncle Dick's golf station. Bob Fortin was in there, and I think Conrad Rollins was in there working on his sled, and Paul stuck his head in the office door, and I'm man, I was just starstruck.
Yes.
I mean, there was no bigger name in the East there for a while than Paul LaMontagne. And,
for sure.
you know, and I could see that he was about my size. And I'm thinking, wow, you know, yeah. So, and then, of course, now I've got to know Paul, and, yeah, great people.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say you and I have both become close friends with him. And in fact, here's a nice shot. I don't remember which year this was, but I think a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Here, you and I standing here with some legendary racers, just having a wonderful time visiting and joking and laughing, and yeah, it just doesn't get better than that. To me, this image tells it all. You know.
Oh yeah, yeah. Who would have ever guessed? I never would have guessed in a million years that I would be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with some of the greatest Eastern snowmobile racers in the history of the sport.
Yes. Yeah. And these two that you and I are hanging out with here are some of the greatest, the absolute greatest.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful to see them every year and hang out with them. And, yeah, it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Oh, and we've got comments coming in. Let's take a look here. Oh, here we go. Jim Holbrook wants to know, where did the name Kilkenny Cup come from? That's a good question.
Yes. There's a township to the east of Lancaster called Kilkenny, and it's a charted town, but it's out in the mountains, so there's nobody lives there. It's an unpopulated township.
Hmm.
And so that name Kilkenny, and I think too they were going to have a Kilkenny ski area out there at one time, and Bob Bottoms was involved with that. It fell through, unfortunately, but I think that's where Bob Bottoms picked up that name Kilkenny, and that's what he called that cup, was the Kilkenny Cup, and that's where it came from.
Yeah, that would explain it. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And then we've got Tim Bewick saying R5C. I think he's talking about the Corridor Trail 5. Is that what he's talking about there, do you think? That goes right through Lancaster and the Lancaster Motel. And
Yes. Yeah. That actually goes right beside the museum.
Yes, Crane Snowmobile Museum, and
then
Lancaster
there's a little short jaunt down the sidewalk and through the park, and then you're right behind the motel.
Yes, yeah. And then we've got David from Alaska Railroad saying, "Good job, Judy." Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, and here, Pong by Atari Tim A says, "Very humble, classy lady." Yes, one of the nicest people you will ever meet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for sure. Oh, and David from Alaska Railroad says that watch of Judy's and her dad is priceless. I love it. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then Pong by Atari Tim A says, my first motorized toy at the age of 11 was a Rupp Speedway Scorpion mini bike that my parents bought me, and that was in 1972. Very cool. Cool.
Yeah.
So, any more to add to this, Midge, before we switch gears, or?
Well, you know, when Judy mentions her dad, he was there. There's no question in my mind.
He was there with us in spirit, for sure.
He was there watching her be inducted that day.
Yes. And also a shout out and a thank you to the Lancaster Motel for hosting this after party.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they really contribute a lot to all of these things we do in the way of vintage snowmobiling and modern snowmobiling, too.
Yeah. They were the first. See, they called me. Ruby called me the minute they bought the place and wanted to know what they could do for the snowmobile crowd.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
and they do a lot to support this podcast, and just really good friends too. By the way,
very good friends. Yeah.
Yes.
The best.
Yes. So we are on item number 6. We're going to go back to the bar at the Lancaster Motel, and we're going to talk about some Lancaster Grand Prix racing memories. We're going to hang out there right at the bar and talk about that. Let me cue that up. Right here.
Okay, folks, as you can see, by the decor that we have behind me here. We're now in the bar. And this is where everyone ended up after racing. They raced handlebar to handlebar, trying to kill each other on the track all day long. And then they come in and sit elbow to elbow and buy each other drinks at night. And this is basically where it was at. Everywhere when you raced during the snow belt, they always ended up sitting at the bar, having a drink. Some of them maybe were back in the rooms. I hear rumors of maybe engines being removed from the sleds and taken into the rooms and rebuilt in the motel rooms. That's just a rumor. But even after they finished with that, they come to the bar. They were all in their 20s, they were kids, they were having fun on the track, and they had even more fun at night.
Yeah, the Lancaster Motel, man, it doesn't get better than that.
That's funny.
And I have to say too, there's a hidden door, kind of a corridor. Let me see if I can find it. Right? Do you see that eye sign, the eye chart?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
To the left of that, of those shelves, you open that up, and there's a secret room, and they've got a smoking room for cigars. There's a humidor. That other door to the left of that is a humidor.
Yeah.
You can buy yourself a high-end cigar and then go in the other room and smoke it. And it's
if anybody
really nice
is into cigars, that's the place to go right there.
Yes.
Yeah. And they have a huge fan on the ceiling in there that sucks all the smoke out.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I've been in there when people are smoking cigars, and I really
You don't
like
even
the
know
smell of smoke. And I can go in there and hang out with half a dozen people around me smoking cigars.
Yeah.
Barely notice.
It's
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we ask people, please patronize the Lancaster Motel, because they do a lot to support snowmobiling, past, present, and future. And we like to complete the circle. So, if you're in the area, stop by for a drink and support them, because they do a lot to support us, or stay there if you're passing through, or to come for any of these events, the Crane Snowmobile Show, which is coming up on the 3rd of February, or the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame induction ceremony, September 7th. Book your room early, especially for the induction ceremony, because many years we booked that place solid. So if you're thinking about joining us for that, make your reservation now, even if you can. And mention the podcast.
Line dancing there too now.
Yes.
Yeah,
they do.
Every other Wednesday, my wife goes.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot. They have 40, 50 people line dance there now. So if anybody's into that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I'm not a dancer, but it is fun to watch line dancing. It's a fun thing to watch.
I used to do that years ago with my wife, but I'm not, the brain waves don't reach the feet in time anymore.
I hear that. Yeah, for sure. Well, cool. So let me pull this down, and we've got one more video clip to look at. This is going to be an interview with Paul Crane. About a year ago, they had a send-off party for the Nast Beatty racing team at the Lancaster Motel, because they were going to be leaving in a couple of days for Eagle River in Wisconsin. So they had a send-off party for them. They had the race sleds there in the lobby, and a lot of people associated with this were there, and we were having a great party. I happened to catch up with Paul Crane there. Asked him if he'd like to talk up his upcoming Vintage Snowmobile Show, which is for last year, but everything that he's talking about applies for this year. So we've got that interview clip plus some footage from last year's show. So I know that was kind of a mouthful, but that's what it was. Let's take a look. And we have Paul Crane here. How you doing tonight, Paul?
Very good.
Good. Did you have doing well, thank you. In fact, this is a prime opportunity if you want to talk up your snowmobile show that's coming up in February.
Yeah, February 4th, I have a show. Bring up, we're giving trophies away like we do every year, 7th year. And there's no pay entry fee or anything. Just come enter one of the classes. gonna have to get one of those good trophies.
Yeah, it's one of the nicer shows in northern New England, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah.
That's February 4th.
In Lancaster, New Hampshire, on Main Street, right at Crane Snowmobile Museum. And you're the Crane and Crane Snowmobile Museum, right? Cool deal. Good, you. Good call, thank you. Yeah, it's funny, you know, that Raider, I was waiting for him and waiting for him because I knew eventually he would take off and get into it, and I wanted to get that shot. It just took him a minute to kind of.
You don't often see those at the shows, but they're a very unique machine.
Yes. And here's the graphic for Crane Snowmobile Museum. I hope you'll join us this year, February 3rd. It's just, I think, a weekend after next. It's a wonderful snowmobile show.
I hope it's not as cold as it was last year, Mike.
Me too. That was cold. Yeah.
That was better. Oh, gee.
Yeah. But one of the big sells with this show is, you know, you get all of the sleds that the exhibitors bring, and then you've got that big building behind with another 100+ sleds in there.
Right.
Crane Snowmobile Museum. That makes it a really special show.
Right.
And I have to mention right here, do you know this guy, Walt Selly?
I'm not familiar with him, but
he goes to a lot of the shows in northern Vermont and New Hampshire, and
okay.
his family, his sons usually go. He's got at least 3 sons that I know of, Aaron, Thane, and I think Paul, if I'm not mistaken. Then he's got grandchildren there and possibly great-grandchildren. And as a family, they've got a significant collection of sleds, and they do a lot of the older sleds, the antique sleds like these, and a lot of the rear-engine sleds. They've got a really impressive collection, and a lot of them they restore themselves, and it's really fun hanging out with them. I've always wanted to catch this gentleman here, Walt. He's in his 80s. I've always wanted to catch him for an interview, and if he's there at the Crane Show, I'd like to try to catch him for an interview.
Yeah, I'll have to meet up with him too.
Yeah, he's a wonderful guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's some sled he's got there.
Yes. Yeah.
That's one of the very early Arctic Cats as far as front engine Arctic Cats go.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of I'm trying to find these older sleds on the right are probably his family's.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly who, which one and who belongs to who,
right.
but they like those old, the rear engine sleds and the really early front engine sleds. It's a really nice collection, a nice collection, and they're nice people to talk to and hang out with.
Yeah.
And I've got another quick story. I want to find just the right spot. Now, you saw how vehicles and snow right here. See the trail riders going by?
That's Corridor 5.
Yeah, that's Corridor Trail 5. And as we're at the show, the Crane Snowmobile show, there's trail riders passing through, and they're saying, wow, look at all these old sleds.
Yeah.
Well, Jason Gibbs, your friend and mine, he usually brings a Polaris RXL to that show.
Yes, he does.
This one year, he had that idling, and he had it running and everything, and he got on it and took off. And as he's taking off, these trail riders are going by doing like double and triple takes. Like, what the heck was that? That RXL is one of the sexier sleds you'll ever see in your life. And
yeah, that one too is a 440 triple.
Yes, yeah.
So she was making some noise.
Yes, it's a very loud sled.
Yeah.
And you don't see sleds like that on the trail, so with these modern trail riders, seeing that go by, it's like, what was that?
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a story that I just had to tell.
Yeah.
But while I have this on the screen, Midge, any thoughts or reactions to anything we were looking at, or just thoughts in general about the Crane Show? Or
well, it's like as you can see, there's probably 75, 80 sleds there.
Yeah.
And it's one of the larger vintage snowmobile shows, especially in the winter.
Yes.
I mean, you got larger shows in the summer, but as far as the wintertime show, where you can, ride your sled to it, and even if you bring a vintage sled, you can take that out and ride the trails as well.
Yeah.
So, if just to meet Paul Crane and see that museum, I think is worth the trip.
Yeah. It adds so much to the show. You see all the sleds outside, plus go inside for the museum. And then of course, Paul Crane, who we've been talking about tonight, he's the first American to ride a Ski-Doo snowmobile in the US or Canada. And he was involved in the importation of the very first Ski-Doo snowmobile into the US. And
right.
I think he set up some of the first dealers in the US too, didn't he?
Yes, he did. As a salesman for Timberland machines, he helped set up some of the very early dealers. And here's another thing too, people might not know. Paul Crane is in the International Snowmobile Hall of Fame out in Eagle River, Wisconsin.
Yes.
He was inducted in 2015 out there.
Yeah. So just to go and have a chance to visit with Paul Crane
himself.
Yes.
For everything that he did for the snowmobile.
Yeah, and he's the co-founder of your Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
If I understand correctly, he was also one of the founders of the first snowmobile club in America. We didn't even talk about that tonight.
He was a charter member of the Lancaster Snowdrifters, which is the oldest snowmobile club in America. He was there at the very first meeting. He and his wife, Marilyn.
And was he not one of the organizers of the early Grand Prix?
He was
racing in New
one of
England?
the people that helped put on the very first race in 1962. In 1963, when he was a member of the JCs, Bob Clark was one, Mike Beatty was one, Bill Doolin. Lancaster is just as far as the snowmobile world goes, I think Lancaster is one of the most historic places in America.
Yeah, it's rich in snowmobile history.
And it has some of the very early trails.
Yes, legacy trails, I like to call them. And you can contact the Snowdrifters Snowmobile Club. They've got a Facebook page and a website and all of that. And you can ask them, what are some of those early trails, that were from back in the day, in case you want to do that for historic, in the interest of history and all of that,
Yeah.
And it's cool to come to the Crane show just to meet Paul Crane himself, get your picture taken with Paul Crane. And he's very approachable. You can visit with him and ask him questions and just hang out with him for a few minutes.
And there's not many snowmobiles that he's not familiar with.
True. Yes, and he's got well over 100 sleds. His personal collection in that building, the Crane Snowmobile Museum, and he also has a few sleds in there that are on loan from time to time from other collectors. Yeah. But it's majority of that collection in there are his sleds.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got Bruce Dunham's 800 Blizzard in there, 72 Blizzard. Yeah. And Bruce Dunham is in the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 And we've got more comments coming in. Did you have more on that, Midge? Or
I think that's about it for me. Yeah.
All right. So David from Alaska Railroad says rebuilding engines in the rooms is awesome. In the 90s, I used to rebuild engines in my spare bedroom over our house. Cool. Gas carb cleaner could be smelled throughout the house, I'll bet. Yeah. Yeah. That is a cool story that they used to take the sleds or at least the engines into the rooms to rebuild overnight. And James Spranger says, another great show, Mike and Midge. Thank you so much, James. Looking forward to having John Spranger Jr. on the podcast in the very near future. Looking forward to that. That's going to be fun. That's actually he and both John Spranger Jr. and his brother James are both going to come on the podcast sometime next month in the very near future.
Cool.
Dave from Alaska Railroad says, great show, Mike and Midge. We appreciate that. Pong by Atari Tim A says, thanks from Michigan, and I'm so glad I found your channel. We're glad you found it too. We appreciate your supporting this. Reese Fleury says, same day as the whiteout here in New York. Yes. Oh, and here we go. Reese Fleury says, I remember Thane Selly. I haven't seen him in years. That was the Selly collection we were talking about. Let's see. Someone on Facebook says, thank you to Midge for sharing all of that wonderful history from Lancaster. John Spranger Jr. Cool deal. Let's see. Question for both Mike and Midge. Have either of you ever been to the Eagle River Museum? It's very awesome. I will be there in 3 weeks. I have not. Have you, Midge?
No, I've never been out there.
I would love to go out there and see that for sure.
No, the furthest I've been is Boonville.
Sure. Now, Mad Dog is saying some interesting history. Nice show tonight. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, we appreciate everyone joining us tonight. And yeah, this was an awful lot of fun. The good news is...
you got to turn that on. Please.
Oh, the light...
You just turned the light out on me. There.
Uh-oh. Okay. It's a sign. But where was I going with this? Oh, the good news is we've got enough footage to do this for another couple of Sunday nights at least, maybe even 3 more Sunday nights, at least 2 to 3 more. Because Midge and I are good friends. We get together every now and then and we go around Lancaster for these site visits like you've seen tonight, just gathering footage and stories and anecdotes, whatever we can find. And we've been sitting on this for a while just trying to figure out what and where and when, how we're going to do something with this. So this is a great way to do it. And we're having a blast doing it. And we're glad that you guys are having a good time doing this with us. So for the next few weeks on Sunday nights, 8 p.m., wherever you're viewing this, just circle back 1 week's time, 8 p.m. next Sunday night. The next
Think of some questions to ask us too.
Please. Yes. Yeah. Any kind of questions about the early days, especially about New England and Lancaster. And we've got a couple more comments. Here we go. Ben Thomas says, thank you for a great show. Appreciate hearing about all the history. Well, thank you. Reese Fleury says, great show, guys. Thank you. Well, cool. Yeah, this has been a wonderful time.
Yeah.
And we thank you for joining us. And any final thoughts, any parting thoughts, Midge, before we wind it down?
Just stay tuned for the next couple of podcasts, and think of some questions you might want to ask us about the early days of snowmobiling and racing, and we'll try to answer them for you.
Yes, and like I said, we're just getting started. We've got plenty more footage in the vault. And please consider joining us at the Crane Snowmobile Show, February the 3rd, Saturday after next. We would love to see you there. That show is an absolute blast.
Yeah. Big
And then,
show.
Of course, yes. And then, of course, Midge is the founder of the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. They have an induction ceremony in Lancaster, New Hampshire at Crane Snowmobile Museum, first Saturday every September, which this year will be September 7th. Please think about joining us for that. And if you are thinking about joining us for that, book your room now at the Lancaster Motel. I'm trying to find the graphic because most years we book that place solid. So you want to book now if you're thinking about joining us. Here's another graphic with their number on there. Pardon me. And if you give them a call, please mention that you saw this on the podcast. Anytime you reach out to them, or if you show up there, just to show up at the bar for a drink or something, please mention the podcast. They would love to hear that because they do a lot to support the podcast and the Hall of Fame and Crane Snowmobile Museum and local trail riding and the list just goes on. They do a lot to support snowmobiling, and I'd like to encourage the snowmobiling community to complete the circle and do what you can to help support the Lancaster Motel. They do a lot to make all of this we're doing possible. And a couple last quick comments. Oh yes, Glenn Ford, I met in Old Forge a couple years ago, says most enjoyable guys. Thank you so much. Pong by Atari Tim A says thank you to Mike and Midge. They appreciate it. And we appreciate all of you guys who are viewing. Yeah, and with that, this time I think we're really going to close it. But thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more of this next week, 8 p.m. Eastern time next Sunday night. And can't wait.
All right.
Have a good one, everybody. Take it easy.
All right. See you, Mike.
Take care.
We'll talk to you.
All right.